Did you ever wonder if there was something more? Do you remember your dreams from childhood? Like most of us, were your dreams crushed with a reality that didn't match the magic and wonder of childhood? Or did you really never experience magic and wonder because of where you were born and what situation you were born into? This podcast is going to explore how our dreams, known or unexplored, are the key to creating a new vision for the world, and how young people today are the key to manifesting it. Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Building Dreams for the Future with Youth. Today, my guest is Ruth Ukubay, who's 19 years old and from Ethiopia. And I'm going to have her introduce the quote of the day, which we selected from Martin Luther King, which is our theme for the first few months of our podcast, as I can't think of a better genius, innovator, and extraordinary humans to be inspired by. And now my inspiration every day comes from young people like Ruth, and hearing about their dreams and how they can imagine a new world keeps me super excited, inspired, and gives us lots of ideas on how to solve global problems together with youth with a fresh perspective. So thank you, Ruth, for coming. I'd love for you to share your quote today and then talk about what it means to you.
Okay, thank you for having me. And the quote that I chose is, "We must concentrate not merely on the negative expulsion of war, but on the positive affirmation of peace." And the reason I chose that is mostly because of the current situation of the country I come from. I'm from Ethiopia. And as you may know, I hopefully you know about it, but the northern region of Ethiopia has been in a civil war for quite a while now, and it's a war between an ethnicity I belong to and the federal government, and it has stopped now, but still that negative implications of that war still create even more problems. And I feel like I know it's really hard to get through war, and especially because I also was affected by, not directly affected, but because of ethnic targeting and other things that resulted from the war, I was affected by it. And I know it's really hard to let go of some of the effects that it has on you. I feel like if we don't move forward, it's really tough to actually move on as a country and as a nation, and it's just uh really, it affects even the relationships you have with people, like your family, because obviously even though everyone's different, even though it's people usually marry their own ethnicity and stuff, but our family's very intermarried and stuff. And I know a lot of people that stop talking to us because of this war and everything. And if this doesn't stop, I don't see us moving forward. And I think we should focus on the positive affirmation of peace. And since there's relatively more peace now, I think it's time to at least go forward with our lives and try to make it better, instead of just holding grudges and trying to make the situation worse. And yeah.
So your experience is that people are actually not talking to each other in your family or in your community just because of the political divide, even if they themselves don't have a problem with each other.
Yeah, I mean, we're family, but still the political ethnic political divide just affects our relationship now.
If you could actually solve that, maybe even, and with the next generation, and say something to people that would have them understand each other more, what would that be?
I think it's more about providing the stage for those discussions, because even if people want to talk, where would you talk? I feel like the government and every person that's in power should provide those stages for young people, every person that is ready to talk and sort it out, because people resort to violence because they think it's the only option. I don't think anyone is like wants war or like they love violence. It's just that they see it as the only option to be heard. So maybe providing those stages and just sorting things out. And definitely, I don't think we should ignore what happened in the past, but like resolving through them in peaceful means, discussions and reparations is what I think would solve this type of issues.
That is a really, really important point. People resolve to violence because they think sometimes that's the only way to get heard. That is a really important point that I really want the listeners to understand. Where are we going to meet? What is a common place where we can just have conversation with each other that's not censored, moderated, reacted against, right? And that is sounds like, even with our previous guest, was one of Eric, who you worked with on your during the program we did restorative justice in a project, and said that when they did have a space through that project, they were actually able to have multiple stakeholders sitting down with police and people who were so divisive, between people who don't like the police and people who, who believe this, and the police are, it's vice versa. It just doesn't work unless everybody's sitting down. And so creating that space for people to sit down and have the discourse. Amazing. And so I want to hear more about your childhood. And I'd like to ask everybody this question, and you can wrap your whole childhood around it or just address the point. What did you want to do when you were 8?
When I was 8, I think I wanted to be an astronaut, actually.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I wanted to be an astronaut or a pilot, just something with flying. And I don't remember particularly why. I think it was just like something that I only saw in movies. So like Ethiopia and stuff, it doesn't have any like space stations or anything. And I used to hear about it from my older brother, and they learned about it in school, but it's nothing that you can see. And it's just I saw it in movies, and I thought it would be pretty cool to do something that no one else would be doing.
Oh, that's beautiful. So you wanted to do something when you were 8 that nobody else around you was doing. Wow. And look at how your life actually has, I mean, you're at Brown. That's amazing. How did that lead in your life? Wanting to be that astronaut, even though that's not your path right now, it could still be, who knows, right? But that idea of wanting to go to new worlds and kind of seeing a different place, do you think that that's an aspiration that carried through your life that led to where you are now and maybe where you're going?
I would definitely say so, because I don't know about if what I'm doing is manifesting, but I always like thought that like even in 7th grade, I remember there was this kid, he was a senior, and the school told us that he got admitted to an Ivy League. I think it was like Yale or Harvard, I don't even remember. And I remember thinking like that's definitely gonna be me. And I always like thought it's like manifesting in some way, but just I always like dreamed bigger for myself. So I definitely had like some good academic standing even in Ethiopia, and I was admitted to med school there. And I remember
Oh,
being like,
wow.
I don't want to commit something now into a field now. I want to explore more, and I think I can, if I can just work like harder. I think I can get into like the Ivy Leagues I dreamed of, and yeah, I did it, and I think that definitely like dreaming big and like just like do achieving things that people around me haven't achieved yet and just setting the path for them is definitely a thing I did all my life, because I'm the first person from my high school to even go abroad, like for education, like into like not even Ivy. Like I don't think anyone from my high school has ever went to like a US institution on a full scholarship and everything.
That is I don't know if you realize how extraordinary that is, and how many young people perhaps are looking up to you even, right? If we're the other students and in your community, imagine a younger student who got to meet you or got to see that what you did, you're blazing that trail.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it motivates people because even this year, the seniors now out of my high school reach out to me and ask me like how I did it, how the process went, and just like how they're actually like amazed and just happy for like that to see that Ivy Leagues are achievable. Because there's been like like we had upperclassmen obviously before me and everything, and it's just not seeing that motivation and just like not seeing people get into Ivy Leagues definitely demotivates you. Like I just applied for the sake of applying, and I had other friends at other universities and other schools that were like getting admitted, and I was like, might as well give it a shot. And I think, yeah, it definitely motivates you to see people like people get into this like prestigious universities.
And so you're the first one that's going abroad for school. So that's amazing. You get to be a mentor for them now. And what is it like? I mean, when you grew up in Ethiopia, it was such a different culture, or just paint a picture for us.
Um, right. Okay, so definitely like a lot of things we consume a lot of like media, like movies and everything. So I know what's like I kind of have an idea what's like in the US. So it wasn't like everything was new, but I got to Boston first, and my friends came to the airport to pick me up, and I was alone. I traveled alone because my family came like a bit later. And I remember kind of being scared. I was like, what if something happens? And I
Mhm.
usually call my mom when that what something happens and I can't call her here. I didn't even have a
Mhm.
cell phone. Like I didn't have a SIM card yet. So I was just like, damn, okay, I'm actually alone. And then I remember seeing just people and just like, yeah, I was just like stuck. And then my friends came and they took me to campus, and that day it was empty, so I really didn't think anything of it. But in the morning I woke up and I just started walking, and I'm like, I'm actually here. It's just like I don't even know how to explain it, but me and there's another freshman Ethiopian with that came with me, and we're both like looking at it and just like, don't you feel like your vision is clearer? We don't know how to explain it, but it's just, everything looked so clear, like we're living in some like darker place, or I don't know how to explain it. But like we were just surprised. Everything was so clear, and we were just like standing and then just admiring the view for a while, and then we ran around. It was just like very, I don't know how to explain it, to be honest. It's just like very dreamlike for the first week. Just I
Yeah.
walk and like I see the campus center and just be like, wow, I've never seen this type of architecture. Like I see sales hall and be like, okay, it's very interesting. Just like just things that I never saw, I never experienced. It was pretty awesome. And just even moving off kind of like going to Boston, going to New York, and just like everything is so new. And especially I don't think I felt that like wow moments in other places. It's just Brown. So I think it's more about just making it here that made me very
Yeah.
shocked.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like I actually go to Brown. It's just
Part. I'm remembering my first day on campus and what you mentioned, saying it felt so, everything feels so clear. It's interesting. I didn't think about it that way, but I had such a experience of awakening too. Like maybe that's also like clear, like I'm on my path. I'm meant to be here. There was something so true about me being there that I'd made a good choice for my future. And not everyone gets these opportunities, but whatever it is that you've worked for, that you now get to actually step into, it's such a rewarding experience.
yeah. And it's just even for the first couple of weeks, like meeting with advisors, meeting with our Bruno leaders for orientation, and just like everyone wanted me and wanted everyone to succeed. And it's just a very new experience for me because it's not that Ethiopia education system is bad, it's just they don't have the resources to support every student. So it's just you have to make it on your own. So we didn't even have a counselor in my school in high school. So we have to navigate everything with on yourself and just like, you know, yeah, just do everything by yourself. So coming here and just having all this support and all this guidance and just having people around you that you just met but just want you to succeed, including like Michael Johns, and just about those people. It's just
Yeah,
really
yeah, yeah. I know. They really do want you to succeed there. And that's one of the reasons that what I do in working with young people and trying to make this type of, I would say, discovery type learning, or following your passion, or giving people the opportunity to discover themselves. I want everyone to have that opportunity. And I was lucky and I was fortunate to get to go to Brown and too. Both my parents were born on in a subsistence. One was born on a subsistence farm. My mother was a refugee during World War II. So I grew up in a very humble, situation in New Jersey, and I felt totally filled because I had family and community, and I learned about the land, and I learned about sustainability. So when I got to Brown, I felt so grateful that in one generation, that I could be at a place like that. It's so unique. But I want the listeners here who might not be able to get into Brown, or who parents whose children want to go but don't get in. There are so many other opportunities out there that we're creating and that we worked on the past couple of weeks, right, Ruth? Maybe you want to tell what might be the possibility for young people around the world who, if we develop our plans and we scale the way we hope to and get these opportunities in the hands of students everywhere.
I mean, the whole Island 17 project is not even like when we worked on it, me and my fellow Brown students, we worked on it not like we learned like through YouTube and just like non-traditional means. We didn't sit in a classroom to learn how to make the game and everything. Just about being creative and just contributing our part to making the project work. So I feel like any young person who's like dedicated and just has creativity and wants to learn more can have a shot at that with Island 17. And just like that's what the company is trying to achieve. It's about just having some sort of idea and trying to implement it. Definitely going to Brown or not going to Brown is not going to make it. And even the world is less focused on like this traditional college path now. So yeah, I definitely support your point.
Yes. Yeah. I was just talking to one of our first fellows who she was an intern when she was 15. She's now 21. And she was just sharing with me the difference she's experiencing, even being in college, from what she learned about social change, really just going for it as a young person. Even before you have a master's or a degree in something, you have a new view of something. You can solve a problem. And so she's really excited about trying to bring some of that into her college experience. But I think for many of the listeners, I'm not shooting down university, but I think we all know it needs to change. A lot of the jobs that students are studying for are not going to be there. And that's why we want to work with young people and listen to young people like you, Ruth, on how can we innovate something that can actually make change now and not wait for multiple degrees and all these things, because the world needs everyone to show up.
That's true.
So what would be your closing statement? If you could say something to policymakers, cross-sector leaders, people who you might not always have a platform to speak directly to, about what could help young people or what could help the world, from the wisdom of your mouth, what would you say?
I think I'll get back. I think I'll get back to the point of just have before you make policies or decide on things. I think always having a stage for young people and people that are directly affected by those policies, like education policies and stuff like that. Just consulting with them and talking through them, and maybe not even like talking to them directly, and just creating the stage for them to talk to each other. Like even this internship, I think the most valuable thing I took was just like working with other interns. It was just a very amazing experience to hear about all the stuff they do and just learning from each other and like creating these ideas together. So I think like having that common stage for youth and just like seeing what they come up with, and maybe if they have a better idea, maybe listening and just, adjusting the system there and their common interests would kind of be awesome. Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Wow. Those were very profound words. And I hope that the listeners are receiving this. And what I think I'm hearing, and I want to summarize, I want to make that point again. If every policymaker would actually listen to the people who will be impacted and co-create with the people who will be impacted by that legislation, most of all youth, because it's your future, we could have a better world. Well, we're going to make that happen, Ruth, and we're so grateful for you. And maybe there will be a new movement starting at Brown where more and more students will come and join you all and making your survival kits available to everyone that plays the game, and then becomes a thriving world. That's my hope too.
Definitely. I hope we see that too. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm grateful to have you too, and we will talk very soon. And I look forward to what you end up doing next and following your journey.
Okay, thank you.